We got some familiar faces, we got some new faces. Either way, we're happy you're here with us. We're going to have a nice little comedy night for you. If any of you look around and see what I see, that's that there are no children here. So please don't expect this to be, kid friendly. I found that out the hard way when I was told that my cousin, because I record these and post these online, got his two young daughters and like the whole family around the TV to watch. I'm like, yeah, it was great. And Drake, started cursing. So yeah, you're gonna hear fuck a lot. I'm sorry. It's just a very, good go-to for me. And I think it's funny, so I hope you think it's funny. But either way, with that, we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. I have a friend that traveled, 2.5 hours across the state because he's like, oh yeah, on my bucket list for the new year, I just want to kind of try stand-up comedy. So we appreciate people that actually do their resolutions, and nothing gets me off more than being able to help a friend. So if I could get a nice warm round of applause for my friend, Adam Lewis.
What's up, everybody? I've never used a microphone before. As Drake said, my name is Adam. I'm 26 years old, and honestly, I don't know how I'm still alive. I got left on a cruise ship before, and that's not even a joke. That's just the truth. No, I'm just kidding. But the the reason I'm surprised I'm still alive is because in elementary school, they made us so afraid that we were going to die in the natural world, which couldn't have been more wrong. It's kind of like when Columbus got to the Americas and he's like, fellas, welcome to India. But no, they should have been teaching us about how to survive in society, but they were teaching us about lions and crocodiles, and I don't know if they thought all of us were gonna live in Africa at some point, but it didn't make any sense. I mean, we can use 10% of our brains, and they're teaching us about quicksand. When am I ever going to encounter quicksand? Just on your way to the ATM, doo-doo-doo. Stop moving, oh no, quicksand! Thank goodness I went to 3rd grade, I know what to do. Another thing they taught us about was acid rain. That was a big thing. My parents always said I used to scream when I got caught in the rain. And I was like, well, yeah, I thought I was dead. They taught us acid rain was deadly, and with modern pollution, all rain was acid rain. And then they made us go play in the rain. Our teacher should have been arrested. I mean, every recess we were in, writing letters to our loved ones in case we didn't make it back inside. It was insane. And another wild thing they taught us was that Adolf Hitler thought people with blonde hair and blue eyes were superior. Now, I don't know if you can see my big dumb head, but when your teacher says that Hitler liked people that look like you do, your classmates think you're a Nazi. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with history, but that isn't ideal. Now, granted, I did go to that one summer camp, 4th graders for the Fourth Reich, but I mean, that was just good fun. I love those guys. But, I know every year we did a Heritage Day where we learn about our roots, we celebrate them, and unfortunately, my ancestry contains a little bit of German. So, I couldn't quite do that for my project. I saw that Aryan Nazi stink on me, So, luckily, I knew my ancestors were from a bunch of countries, so I asked my mom, and it turns out I'm a little Italiano. You like a pizza? We make a pizza. So, all my classmates love pizza. I did my project on Italy. I got in everyone's good graces. I didn't have to join a local militia or anything. Life was good. Fast forward 20 years, I'm talking to my sister about Heritage Day, and it turns out I'm not Italian at all. I'm Irish. And I thought, how could I have got that confused? My family has bad skin and drinks all the time. We don't kiss each other on the cheek or make pasta or anything like that. I thought, how could I have gone my whole life thinking I'm Italian? And honestly, I couldn't tell you. But there is one thing I know for certain. If I'm ever on safari and I see somebody stuck in quicksand, about to be attacked by a lion, this little blue-eyed Italian is going to spring into action, save the day, and be the superhero that Adolf Hitler always believed I could be. This is my first time ever performing in any way, and that's all I got. So thank you for being here, thank you for listening, and have a good one.
Keep it going for Adam, first-time performer. I'd say did pretty well. It's the second time someone's brought up being a Nazi at this open mic, so that's kind of interesting how that kind of just keeps on happening. But no, you're absolutely right. It's weird what they taught us. No actual life skills. I found that out the hard way when I was looking at my microwave the other day. And it has a red light that went on. I'm like, that's unusual. And it's just like, yeah, your microwave filter needs to be replaced. What the fuck is a microwave filter? Can anyone here answer that? This is a little Q&A. Does anyone know what a microwave filter is? Anyone? Come on. I know someone. No one? Yeah, exactly. What the fuck is that supposed to be? I mean, here's an easy answer for you guys. It's something I have to buy, apparently. But yeah, they didn't teach us shit at all that mattered. But I'm glad I know the difference between a lion, a tiger, and a bear. Up next on our docket, we've got a new face. Please welcome to the stage, Marnie Bragg.
Thank you so much. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Yes, I am a black girl named Marnie. Usually when people hear my name Marnie, they think I'm a corny white girl. Well, they're half right. When I was younger, I didn't really like my name because it was not common. I wanted something like Lisa, Nicole, or Kim. But as I got older, I learned to appreciate the uniqueness of the name Marnie. So much so that I was slightly offended when I met another black girl named Marnie. I'm like, what? I thought I was the only black Marnie in the world. What's going on? Her name was spelled the same way as mine, and her parents got her name from the same place that my parents did. So I said to myself, Marnie, ask this girl some deeper questions. I said, yeah, your name is Marnie, but are you indecisive? Do you dip your Doritos in applesauce? And do you make poor choices in men? And she said, no. I said, yes, of course. I'm still the prototype. I am the original and unique black Marnie. So it's wonderful. I give my parents kudos for giving me a name that increases my chances of getting a job. With a name like Marnie, my resume gets a second look. That is such a great feeling. Like, kudos, Mom and Dad. Thank you so much, you know. My parents are cool. They're very overprotective, especially my mother. The other day she called me and she was like in a panicked frenzy. She's like, Marnie, be careful when you're outside and you're driving around and you're shopping because they're kidnapping women for the sex trade. I'm like, oh wow, Mom, that is horrible. They're kidnapping women? That's not good, you know? And I'm like, wait a minute. Mom, you think I have what it takes to get kidnapped for the sex trade? What? Oh my gosh, you're giving me some newfound confidence here. All this time I thought they wanted young girls with flat stomachs and big boobs. Not me, I'm middle-aged, I've got a dad bod and an afro between my legs. Wow, great. I'm feeling really great, Mom. Thanks a lot, thanks, you know. So, a little more about me. I am divorced, I'm introverted, and I am a foodie. Yes, I am a crazy cat lady. Oh my gosh, you guys are so perceptive. How'd you figure that out? I love being a crazy cat lady. I wear it like a badge of honor because I'm a nice and generous person. I am so nice and generous that I consider myself to be a volunteer slut. I love volunteering. You mentioned that V word to me and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm there. KKK rally? Sure, I'll come. You need some help? No problem. I'm very nice, but I don't like telemarketers. Telemarketers get on my nerves. No offense to anyone if you're a telemarketer. But there's this one dealership that just constantly calls me. They're asking me to buy another one of their cars. But I don't want to buy another one of their cars. I didn't like it. So finally I told the guy, I'm like, look, stop calling me. I don't know what I have to do. I don't know who I have to screw, but take my name off your list. Before I ended the call, he said, hey, if you screw me, I'll take your name off the list. I'm like, really? That's all I gotta do is just screw you and just take my name off the list? He's like, yeah. And I was like, what's your name again? He said, Mike. I'm like, Mike, where are you right now? He said, I'm at the dealership in Dearborn. I got in my car. I went down to that dealership. I found Mike. I screwed him. And before I left, I said, look, Mike, don't you call me again. Because if you do, I'm gonna have to come down here and screw you again. And you don't want that, right? He's like, no, I don't want that. I'm like, all right, good. A couple of days later, my phone rings. It's the same dealership, but it's a different guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I screwed the wrong mic. That's my time. Back to you, Drake.
Keep it going for Marty, please. So, as we all know, it is February, which is great and all. Short month, a lot of stuff happening. Groundhog Day was last week, and I'm not sure how you guys, follow that lore, but he saw his shadow again for the third year in a row. I don't know who's gonna man up and put a hit out on the fucking groundhog, because I'm sick of having long winter. Can we get a fucking short winter and a nice spring, please? On the flip side, our Canadian neighbors, they also do the same thing. Their groundhog was found dead moments before the ceremony. You can look that up. It's funny because it happened. It's not necessarily a joke. So I don't know, if they've done any tests, if it was an OD or if someone put a hit on that one. But I have to assume, I guess Canadians aren't that nice because they did what I've been wanting to do forever. But I don't have anything against groundhogs. It's just that one. Dude, fucking throw me a bone. I hate winter. I told him my car in the winter. I don't want another winter. I don't want to have that happen again. Please welcome to the stage, returning from January's open mic night, a crowd favorite, Joe Fanning.
Go, Clarence. You did it, Joe. Go, Clarence. What's going on, everybody? How are we? Woo! Happy Friday. Oh, man. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming out here tonight. I see some familiar faces, some friends who actually showed up, which is nice. I do have a lot of friends, though, who I invited who aren't here today. And, hour before the show, you get a nice text that says, oh, man, I forgot. Or, I gotta work late, sorry man, I can't come. But I do really respect the people who go way out of their way to make the most outlandish lie you can get. I got one text today that said, hey man, I'm really sorry, I can't come. My dog actually, he broke his favorite toy yesterday, and I gotta get him a new one. He's really sad about it. And if my dog gets sad, then he might commit suicide. And my uncle committed suicide, and it'll just make me think of my uncle and all the things that he used to do to me. So I can't really make it tonight. It's just a really tough time for me, so I gotta get that toy. But hey, let me know about the next date. I'll be there for sure. I'm coming. But genuinely appreciate you guys are here, so thanks for coming out. My first joke last time was about a cream pie and not the warm, delicious dessert. Although in the right context, those are warm and delicious too. I sent the 5 minutes I did last time to my parents, and they watched it, and my mom called me after she watched it, and she said, that was really good, I'm so proud of you for going up there and telling some jokes, and they were funny, but you gotta get rid of the cream pie joke. And I said, Mom, why? Cream pies are hilarious. She's like, well, I don't really know what it means. And I'm not about to explain to my mom what a cream pie is, but This is coming from the woman who's had 7 confirmed pregnancies. She's in like the top 1% of successful cream pies. So I said, you know what, Mom? Just ask Dad. I'm sure he'll be really excited to tell you. A half a second later, I hear my dad in the background just go, "Don't worry, honey, I'll show you later." I hung up immediately. That's my mother. Disrespectful. I do love Fridays, though. Fridays are great. Long work week. Finally get a chance to relax and go out, have a few drinks, meet some friends, maybe meet the love of your life, and still holding out hope for that one. We'll see if it ever happens. But back when I was in a relationship, Fridays were the same. Every Friday I'd go home after a long work week of dealing with a bunch of bullshit, and got to come home and deal with more bullshit. Get in an argument, get told I'm a piece of shit, eat dinner, and then go to bed. And I'm loving the single Fridays because, I go home, dealing with a bunch of bullshit, go home and still deal with a bunch of bullshit. I tell myself I'm a piece of shit, and then I make dinner and go to bed. But I do love the single independence, but, sometimes it gets old. So I downloaded the dating apps, it's like I'm sure a lot of you have. And there's a lot of people on those apps, and I finally, I met a nice woman on one of the applications. We ended up going on a date. Things went really well, and we decided we wanted to hang out again. So I got a second date. We went out again. Third date's coming, and you know what they say about third dates? Sex. And so we go out to dinner. I think things went well. I dropped her back off, and she said, "Hey, why don't you come back up with me?" I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, I can do that." So we get up there, and we get right down to business, and we had sex. It was good, and good for me at least. Yeah, best 47 seconds of my life. And I knew she did not enjoy herself at all, which really upset me because I take pride in being an unselfish lover. Any single ladies in the crowd, I'll give you a number. Anyway, she had this look of disappointment on her face. It was almost like, when you get a puppy and it does something stupid, it knocks over a glass and it breaks, and you're not mad at the puppy. It's not his fault, it's just a young puppy. But I'm not a puppy, I'm a grown-ass man. That just shouldn't happen to me. And we get done, and we're sitting there, and it's extremely awkward, and it's silent, and we're not addressing the atrocity that just happened. And it's not like I hadn't been, I just hadn't been in a game time situation in a while. But, up until that point, I was practicing 2-3 times a day by myself. Just really getting after it. But when the lights are on and the game time pressure is there, you got hecklers in the crowd. It's just different. You just don't know what's going to happen. But we get done and we're sitting there and clean up on aisle 5. And so we get done and she pats me on my back, looks at me and said, "It's all right. I guess it can only get better from here." Unfortunately, it did not get better from there. I was ghosted the next day. Never heard from her again. So that was tough. Yeah, but so I went to Catholic school my whole life, and my parents, they sacrificed a lot to send us there, which is good. I'm very grateful for that. But money was tight growing up because of that, and and while I do appreciate the sacrifices they made to send us there, it would have been nice to take a damn vacation every once in a while. Disney World sounds a lot better than learning about Jesus for 14 years. There's not that much to learn about the guy. And the private versus public school thing, it's kind of funny to me. It's like there's 2 lemonade stands across the street from each other, got the same ingredients, the shit tastes the same, and it looks the same. The only difference is rich white people like paying for their stuff instead of getting it for free. And but I will say I have the privilege that I got to learn about a magical book that was written 2,000 years ago. So take that, public school. My dad was really tough growing up. Great guy, love him to death. But he was a cop for 28 years. So, you know, he was used to, you know, getting whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted it, and his way. And, you know, I'm sure he never used excessive force. But every day, every single day he would do this. He'd get whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted it, and then he'd go to work. So, but like I said, I love Fridays. I love getting able to relax. It's good getting out here, telling some jokes, and this definitely beats, you know, getting called a piece of shit and then going to bed. So thanks for coming out, guys. Appreciate it. Back to Drake to finish us off for the evening.
Hopefully it's a good finish and not a 47-second one. Some of you that are our regulars may notice I look different from the last time I was here. That's right, I'm wearing jeans. Typically I just stick to khakis, but yeah, I was really thinking jeans today. No, I'm kidding, I got my hair cut. I'm 3.5 pounds lighter, head to shoulders, hoping nothing else, lost weight with that too in a good way. But with that said, like we said, we're glad to have you guys here. It's a very busy, important weekend for most of us. It's the Super Bowl on Sunday. Now, before all of you guys cheer, because I'm assuming most of you are Detroit Lions fans, I'm sorry to hear that. My team is in the Super Bowl. You guys can clap for that. Yeah, go ahead. Someone clap. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now, you're going to want to take your claps back after I tell you what team in the Super Bowl is my team, but it's the Philadelphia Eagles. And before you be like, oh, he's a bandwagoner. No, I can explain. I'm technically from Philadelphia. Now you're probably wondering, what the fuck does technically from Philadelphia mean? Well, let me tell you. Real quick, if everyone could just close their eyes, I'm not gonna judge this like a teacher, but picture you are in a Ford Windstar, you're driving across the country with your dad to visit some family in Philadelphia. And you're actually in downtown Philly at that moment. You have no idea what's going on. You're just playing Super Smash Brothers in the back of the car because we got the dope AC to car port adapter going and a TV that's bungee corded to the seats. So for the 8-hour drive, you don't just fucking die. And, you know, my dad goes, Drake, look out the window. And there's a lot of history there, you know, Statue of Liberty, Ben Franklin, also some crime. I'm like, what am I gonna see when I look out the window? So if you could join me on that journey, I look out the window, see where he's pointing, and it's a Holiday Inn. And there's nothing really exciting about a Holiday Inn, especially for a 10-year-old. Hotels are okay. I prefer Airbnbs now, but when I'm 10, why the fuck would I care about this Holiday Inn? So I go, all right, Dad, what, the hotel? He's like, yeah, the hotel. I'm like, okay. He goes, that's where you were made, baby. I'm like, oh, wow. So at the ripe age of 10, before I've had sex ed, my dad just told me where I was conceived. That's interesting. I don't really think anyone needs to know where someone's conceived. I think that's a very need-to-know basis. And when it comes to the list for you yourself, you should never be on the need-to-know basis for where you were conceived. But my dad felt that he had to share that with me. And as if that was the worst, he then goes on and says, your grandparents thought it was their basement, but it was right there. You're from Philly, buddy. I'm sorry? My grandparents are fighting for me to have been conceived in their basement? Why would they? What on God's green earth could they possibly be thinking where they want me there? Wow, that's so weird. Like, I don't think anyone here would be like, yeah, I really hope my grandkids get made right here. That's great. So much history in this house and these walls. Apparently my grandparents said, I'm like, why the fuck would they want that? So as I'm thinking that, then the elephant in the room then comes in. It's like, okay, well, if I'm conceived in a Holiday Inn in Philadelphia, was I wanted. Definitely not planned, but I'm still here, so I have to assume wanted to some extent. But because of that awesomeness, I got to be at both my mom's weddings. The first one, I was just in the oven, which was cool. You know, you get all the attention. People are like, he's kicking. And it's like, yeah, I'm kicking. You keep knocking on my wall. Like, it's like having a loud neighbor upstairs. Every time, you know, you're trying to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and it's just boom, boom, boom. It's like, you'd think Jurassic Park was being filmed right above you. But it's happened to me a few times. More times I like to admit, and I've actually taken action more times I'd like to admit. It's, you know, standing on a chair with a broom, just hitting up top, being like, hey, would you guys mind shutting the fuck up? If you could, that'd be great. I may or may have not also egged their door one time for winter break, so they came back and it was frozen over. So, yeah, maybe that is a little trashy of me, but you know, nowhere I'm from is trashy. Philadelphia is beautiful. There's no trashiness involved there. Yeah, so it's a big difference between when you go to your mom's first wedding, technically as an uninvited guest, and the second one is you're just, you know, want to throw yourself off the second story floor and die, because it's really interesting when your mom gets divorced and like instantaneously remarries. That's not the coolest thing that could happen to a young child, but I mean, I guess there are worse things. I mean, I never had an uncle, you know, go down that route, as we've heard before here, so that was good. My mom got married for the second time at Henry Ford Museum, which everyone's like, oh, wow, she loves history. No, she couldn't do it at a church because she didn't get an annulment for the first one yet. So she just stuck it there, and it was interesting because, you know, they have a very shitty backdrop, probably as long as this table here. That's where the wedding's occurring. And then, you know, if you're facing it, you just look a little bit to the left. And they've actually got the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile parked in that bitch. I don't know, maybe my mom's just a fan of weenies. We had to, you know, fucking car parked there. The guy she married was kind of a weenie, but they're divorced now, so it's all right. Thank you, COVID. One good thing to come out of that. It was right after he had to get like his kidneys replaced. It was awesome. Someone at work asked me, like, how's your stepdad? You know, I heard he was really sick. And it's really interesting when you have to say, well, actually, my mom divorced him. Not because he was sick, though. He was an asshole. We found out he was an asshole because of COVID. Not because he was sick. Not because he was sick. She's like, oh, wow. Good for her. Like a very questionable, like, not sure if that's something you should be celebrating or not. But alas, I went to both weddings, and it was great. Now, back to the whole, my grandparents, God rest their souls, fighting for me to be conceived in their basement. Why? Why would they do that? What is so wrong with Philadelphia? And as I've grown up, I've kind of figured it out. People from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, most people would take as scumbags and just kind of assholes. So honestly, it makes sense that I'm from there. But at the same time, isn't the whole point of winning the Super Bowl is to destroy your city? Like, that was their first one back in 2018, and I was through the roof. The only thing I destroyed that day, though, was one man's hope in humanity. So I'm in East Lansing at the time, and I go to Jersey Mike's. I placed an order for $100 worth of Philly cheesesteaks, because how the fuck else are you going to celebrate the Eagles being in the Super Bowl without some good grub? And I'm walking into the store, and there's a man, and he's clearly homeless. He goes, hey, do you have any money on you? And I'm like, no, I don't. Obviously, I had like 20s and 100, but I'm not going to give this guy a $20 bill. Like, that's for, you know, that's drinking money. It's the only reason I'm here, and the only reason I keep going is to drink. So I walked into the store, verified my order, and then I walked out with 2 bags, $50 worth a piece of Philly cheesesteaks. And it's like when you go to White Castle and you get a crave case, and you walk out, whether people like the food or not, they look at you and think, wow, this guy's got friends, or wow, this guy's a fat piece of shit who's gonna eat all that food in one sitting. He didn't ask for a sandwich. If he did, I could give him one, but he just asked for money. That's on him. If he wanted a sandwich, he should have asked for one. But fortunately, didn't work. And our party was a little bit smaller than expected. I guess not everyone wanted to come celebrate with an Eagles fan, but it was great. I got to eat Philly cheesesteaks for the rest of the week, so that rocked. What else can you associate with Philadelphia? You know, I hear all these things. Obviously, I live in Livonia, so at the end of the day, very different from Philadelphia from my experience. I don't know if anyone else thinks so, but I think so. And I was visiting family over the summer, and they took me to Philly, and I had been drinking heavily. It was a 4th of July party. I had been drinking twisted teas. Twisted teas are really interesting because the further east you go, the more people call you a pussy for drinking them, and the further west you go, the more you're like revered as a hero for drinking them. Because I know that because I asked my family, I'm like, yeah, can you pick up some twisted tea at the store for me? And they're, Philadelphia, like, twisted tea? What the fuck? What the fuck is that? Like, you drink this shit? I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's got caffeine in it. So I don't ever actually think I'm drunk. I think I'm fine. Which is not safe, by the way. Just so everyone knows, they don't keep the facts on the can or box. They're very bad for you. Then in Michigan, my friend was like, dude, you gotta stop drinking that shit. It's not even good. And then they have one, they're like, okay, maybe I was wrong about this. I don't know. Arizona, they're just like, oh yeah, that's fine. Whatever, yeah, drink whatever you want. That's great. California, though, oh man. So I went on a boat with some people in the military and some friends, and it's like, oh, bring your own booze if you drink something specific. I don't drink beer, and at that point, COVID kind of eliminated my tolerance for hard liquor. So I'm like, oh yeah, twisted teas. That'll be it. I'll bring some. I'll be good to go. So I went. I got about 2. Drank 2. Come back to the cooler. The box is gone. There's no twisted teas left. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, where are my twisted teas? As I say that, I turn around to 14 servicemen, all with twisted teas. Like, dude, you brought these? Thank you. We've been waiting for someone to bring these. These are so good. So if someone tries to say, I don't support the troops, they're actually wrong. I do support the troops with twisted tea. So after a night of binge drinking twisted tea to celebrate the 4th of July with my family, because how else would you celebrate the 4th of July, we went to Philly to get cheesesteaks, authentic cheesesteaks. And my cousin just looks to me as we get out of the car and goes, Drake, keep that big mouth of yours shut, because if anything happens, we're not helping you. And I just go, wow, this city really is all they say it is and more. It's a little interesting, the whole trashiness thing. I don't know if it helps my case as a person or like justifies what I've done, but there are definitely some things that I have done that are a little trashy. And it's funny, I was talking to my dad the other day, and he's calling me, he's telling me like, oh yeah, like, I'm gonna, we had plans for dinner that night. And he hangs up abruptly. I'm like, oh, that was weird. Whatever, I guess we figured it out. Calls me back and says like, hey, sorry about that. I had to stop on the side of the road to take a leak. You still on for 6:30 with that pizza? I'm like, okay, we're just gonna act like nothing weird was said in that. Like that was a completely normal sentence. But I can relate to that because I've had to piss on the side of the road for some road trips. I was once in an Arizona desert when I was moving to Los Angeles. But it made me realize how just great men have it that you can pee anywhere. I mean, you just have to shake that thing and you're good. Women, they don't get to do that. Plus, I have to squat. I mean, come on. I can be standing. I can put one leg behind my head and piss on the side of the road. No one bats an eye. But that made me realize, I'm like, oh, I should start carrying toilet paper in my car in case I'm with a woman and, we can't know where to stop. My head was in the right spot. That slowly devolved into me being like, I'm just going to start shitting on the side of the road in places. So that started It was a very fun time. I went out to dinner with some friends in Ann Arbor. Me, a buddy, another friend, and his girlfriend, who they're not together anymore, which is great because I just don't think she brought anything to the table whatsoever. And I'm the type of guy that likes to tell people that. Like most people are like, oh, I want my friends to be happy, whatever makes you happy. If I'm like, hey dude, this man, this woman, this person sucks, they fucking suck. Hate to break it to you, sorry it's gotta be me. Someone wanted to do it, I'm looking out for you though. So we go and I actually go to the bathroom right before we leave, and then our other friend is in town. He's like, he lives right down the street. He's like, yeah, come visit me. So all right, we're gonna drive there. And then out of nowhere, it hits me. I gotta go. And I'm like, pull over to this gas station. Get to the gas station, do the weird like jazzercise walk inside so nothing falls out of me. Hi, yeah, where's the restroom? Yeah, it's right over there. But it's closed. So why the fuck would you point me to where the restroom is? If the restroom's closed, just say the restroom's closed, or just say you don't have one. I hit him with, dude, like, this is an emergency, I need to use your restroom. Like, I'm sure if it's broken, it'll be fixed to the point where it'll be able to take down whatever I'm gonna put in it, but something's gonna happen. And you're either gonna help me or you're not gonna help me. He goes, sorry, can't help you. I'm like, all right, buddy, fuck you. So I just walk back to my car. My buddy's girlfriend is in riding shotgun, and I tap on the window. She rolls it down, and she goes, what do you need? And I go, open the glove box. And she's like, oh my God, you're gonna do this without a mask? I'm like, I'm not holding the fucking gas station up. This isn't Grand Theft Auto. Give me the roll of toilet paper. I'm gonna go shit behind the gas station. So I did that. And it was oatmealish, goosebump-driven, hot diarrhea. Wiped and went on my way, and honestly, I felt like a better man for it. I asked this guy to help me. He said no. So I helped him by letting him know that the back of the store is disgusting and needs to be cleaned up. So yeah, maybe a little bit trashy. I don't know. I guess people also affiliate, I don't know, this is news to me, but people say people from Philadelphia lie a lot. I just thought that was because I was my mom's son. But turns out, I guess it's just, was bred in me. So this goes back to high school. It was spring break, junior year. I wasn't going anywhere. So I'm like, oh, and my dad was also not in town. So I'm like, we'll just have people over. It'll be fun. It'll be a nice little gathering. We'll be very respectful. Everything will be good. And I'm hanging out with my buddy, and he goes, yeah, actually, I can't stay if my parents don't talk to your dad. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So the long story short of that is my friends got busted smoking pot at my house. But it wasn't like being caught in the act. My buddy was very smart and posted a picture of him doing it on Instagram, and his family follows him. So they just simply hit him with a, hey buddy, what's this about? They did not believe the it was tobacco lie. So they got busted and were pretty much banned from my house for a little bit. So I'm like, hey man, I don't know what to tell you. My dad's not home. Like he can't, like, do they want to call him? Like they can call him, that's fine. They go, no, like they want him to be here. They want me to hand the phone to him. I'm like, well, he's not fucking here, so you're going home. So he goes, no, Drake, just lie that you're your dad. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Now, here's an interesting fact. I can't do an impersonation of either of my parents, and you think that'd be easy. Granted, I've spent my entire fucking life with them, but not something I was possible doing, so I just put on like a worried sound when I take the phone. Hey, Mr. So-and-so. Like that's not how you'd address when an adult is an adult. I call him by his first name. And he was a cop, so he goes, all right, Drake, I know you're fucking around. Give the phone to your dad. I'm like, no, this is Drake's father, all right. This is him. Yeah, it's okay if, the boys stay here. They're not getting into any trouble whatsoever. He's like, Drake, give the phone to your fucking dad. I'm not fucking around. I'm like, all right, listen, buddy. I pulled the biggest adult move you could. And I said, how about I just talk to your wife? At that point, he was like, whoa. Yeah, I guess you have to. I finally learned after all those years of asking, my dad, hey, can I do this? Well, did you ask your mother? And then asking my mom, hey, can I do this? Well, did you ask your father? Well, and going back and forth, I just realized you could just lie and say one to the other, like, yeah, I did talk to him. I was just double checking with you. So they said it's good, so let's go. I finally pulled the Uno reverse out on adults. The kid in me was so excited. And she gets the phone, and at this point, like, the fake voice is gone. It is me talking is me. I'm like, yeah, I know the boys have gotten into a lot of trouble recently, but we're really going to do our best to keep an eye on them and, make sure nothing goes south. And I understand that, you guys kind of associate that with my house, but we're not going to let that happen anymore. She's like, wow, that's actually really nice of you to say that. He can stay. I'm like, awesome, crisis averted. So the party rages on. A lot of things you're not supposed to be doing as a 17-year-old occurring, but that's the way it is. Then it gets to probably about 11:30. His parents call him, hey, you need to come home. We changed our mind. Oh, okay, that's great. He hangs, yeah, I'll be home right away. You got it. Hangs up. Hey, so I'm wasted and can't drive my car. Can you? I didn't drink in high school because I was kind of just set on being a virgin. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'll drive for you. No big deal. Easy, easy. How am I going to get home? Like, oh, that's all right. We'll just have someone tail me with my car and then I'll drive it back. So, oh, hey, who's sober here? I mean, it was like the record scratch. Like, everyone stopped what they're doing, looked over, like, really? I'm like, oh, great. I love that everyone's here at my house and no one can be sober for me. So we had to brainstorm, and I know what you're all thinking now, just take an Uber. This is 2013, there are no fucking Ubers, idiot. The thought of using your phone to call a stranger to pick you up and take you somewhere, are you crazy? That would never take off. So I had to call a cab. I drove him in his little yellow Volkswagen Beetle, which, as if that wasn't humiliating enough, drove him to his house, dropped him off, sprinting down the road, called a cab, went to a gas station thinking it would be open. It was not. Sat on their bench. Cab picked me up, and then, as he's about to drop me off, he's like, yeah, just fill out this form. I'm like, what the fuck? Fill out this form? What is it? It's like where you were picked up, the time, where you're getting dropped off, the time. I'm like, oh my God, they fucking got me. I'm not old enough to be in a cab. Granted, I had no idea if there was an age restriction on a cab. I was just like, they got where I was picked up, they got the time, they know I'm underage, I mean, look at me, and fucking they got my home address, I'm fucked. Like, his dad's gonna figure it out, we're gonna be bamboozled. No, apparently that's just standard protocol in a fucking cab. So I went back in and just continued to enjoy my own party, and by that I mean I went to bed because I was sick. No one else wanted to help me out that night. With that said, it has been a very interesting NFL season as an Eagles fan. Everyone I know, like whenever I watch the games in public, people are like, yeah, I just fucking hate Philly fans. They're just the fucking worst. They just let everyone know their team sucks when they suck and let everyone know their team's good when they're good. And we do. And it's great. And there's no problem with that. So this Sunday, I'll be rooting for the Birds, and I hope you will too. Thank you everyone so much for coming out to Apothecary Espresso and Coffee. We hope you enjoy your Friday evening. We hope you drive home safe. Please remember to tip your baristas. And last but certainly not least, go Birds. Thanks for coming out, everyone.